Ladies and gentlemen, I have the enormous pleasure to speak with Eliot Menzies of Altitude Brewing, right down there in the deep south, in the beautiful town of the Queenstown. So, Eliot, I can't remember if we've actually met or not around the traps, buddy. We might have bumped into each other at Beervana at some point, but you know Beervana.
Yeah, I think that's probably happened. I mean, crikey, I've been doing this now for what, 8 years or however Altitude's been around. We've been to Beervana and various other festivals several times, so I'm sure we've probably shared a beer and a yarn or two over the years. Yeah.
Eliot, I can't believe it's 8 years. You only look about 12 years old, and
well, that's right. You know, I've been brewing since I was 4. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
You're a
At
sprightly
least tasting
fellow.
since I was 4.
You're a sprightly fellow, Eliot. Now, we're talking with Eliot Menzies of Altitude Brewing because this is Andy Crusher Cummings, the heavyweight champion of Helensville.
Can we do a plug for River Valley Meats?
It's too late. The plug is done. Hey, look at this, mate.
Time for your massage.
Get it, Andy. Jeez, I need one of those too. Where's my massage? I gotta get Pete in here.
So we're talking with Eliot Menzies of Altitude Brewing, and you guys are our Brew Buddy of the month at Panmure.
So what's going on here? This is crazy.
Oh, God.
One of those Zoom meetings where you need to turn the camera down there a little bit.
Eliot, there's always one. It's always Andy Crusher Cummings. So, Eliot, you've got a bit of an interesting story, mate. You've got a bit of an interesting story, and you had an interesting upbringing, mate. You ended up being on a boat with the siblings and mum and dad for quite some time back in the day, sailing around the South Island.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it kind of ties into my beer story there a wee bit too, actually. You know, for he's trying to distract me there, I think. So if I get distracted, just keep me on the horse. But it all ties in with my brew story because, like I sort of hinted at before, I've been drinking beer since I was about age 4. You know, and I grew up down the road from Mac's Brew Bar in Nelson. So you know, it was going down there with my old man to pick up flagons of Black Mac was a strong part of my memory, actually. And we'd get, half a dozen of them and stick them in the bilge of the boat, and we'd go out sailing. And, you know, Dad would crack open his Black Mac every night, and, you know, I'd get to have a little sip and loved it, you know. And so I suppose that's where appreciation for beer might have started in my life too. But, you know, you did right. It's a bit of an interesting upbringing, growing up on a boat 3 years around the Marlborough Sounds, being homeschooled by my parents, and learning how to fish and you know, spearfish and sail and all those things was good fun.
Excellent, mate. And I think you, from what I understand, I think you used to dabble in the ginger beer a bit.
Have you been talking to someone that I know?
Hey, man, it's called research, buddy.
Oh, right. Yeah, well researched, mate. I mean, geez, when you're hiding away in a boat and, you know, we were at Bay of Minico's making ginger beer with my 9-year-old mate, I think it was, that was my first ever foray into fermentology. And yeah, we built ourselves a hut out of manuka. I remember all this, and I can't remember how much we made or what we even made it in, but we made ginger beer, and you know, honest God, I think don't know if it was alcoholic or not. Bottles like you do with the first time you start trying to carbonate something, but yeah, as a 9-year-old, we were pretty stoked with what we'd created. Totally.
Did you have a few, you know, it's a rite of passage to have a few exploding bottles, Eliot. Did you get a few of those, mate?
Yeah. I'd totally tell you've exploded a few bottles and pissed off your missus somehow, and, you know, covered all your clothes in beer or ginger beer or whatever it might be. But I think also, as you do when you made your first batch, you can't wait, can you? So I think we probably drank about 2/3 of them before they were properly carbonated, and then, you know, we drank maybe, we only lost about, you know, another 5 or 6, because by that stage, yeah, they finally overcarved.
So tell us where Altitude Brewery is, Eliot. I think you're on the shores of Lake Wakatipu there in Frankton Marina, is that right?
That's right. I reckon, arguably we've got probably the best view for a pint in the whole country. We're right, there's a brand new marina right outside our front door, and we were lucky enough to be, I guess, signed our lease about 2 months before they started building that. So you can't miss us as you drive in the main road into Queenstown. You'll see a giant kayak sticking out of our roof, and Altitude Brewing painted onto the side of the building. Yeah, you'll probably see steam coming out of the chimneys and the fireplaces and whatnot, and people sitting outside and having a beer, looking at the remarks. But yeah, that's us. It's right by the water with views of the mountains, and you know, you literally have your beer inside the brewery. We're an open brewery, so people love it. They can sit there and, you know, watch me scratching my ass, or you know, swearing at some kind of vessel or whatever it might be. It's you feel like a monkey in a cage sometimes.
It's a little bit like that, but you're right. Folks love to see that, Eliot. So describe the tap room part of things a little bit for us. What do folks what can they expect to see when they rock on in there?
Well, we've got sort of, we try to keep the place as open as possible, you know. So we've got, it was an old limousine garage that we took over to put the brewery into. So, you know, we've got massive roller doors that just roll up, high stud, and you can sit in the tap room and watch the water, watch the sunset over the mountains, and then look behind you and see us working away. So that's kind of the experience we wanted to give people. And honestly, I get every day people coming up, and you know, it's fucking annoying, but at the same time, you know, trying to get your attention and pull you away from whatever you're trying to do. And then it's something as mundane as, why is all that liquid running out there down the drain? You're like, it's, you know, it's just the end of my mash water or something like that, you know. And I think I'm just wasting beer and pouring it down the drain. And but that's what it's all about, you know. They can see the spunding valves bubbling, and you know, they can see us, you know, climbing out of the kettle and giving it a scrub. And it's that's what I think, you know, people love about it. We're not hidden away. They can stand there, drink their beer, and watch it being made. And that's kind of the point of how we've built our wee place. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think it's super important, Eliot, that people get to have that opportunity to see that process and you know, talk to the people who make it, just to find out. You know, it removes a bit of that mystique and sort of helps the cause of our industry in general, I think. And I bet it can be annoying sometimes. I mean, you should hear all the great ideas people give us about our place. It's excellent. But it is,
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, tell me how to make beer, and you know, what to put in the next batch, and you know, what I should be doing. And it's you know, you got to smile and nod and say thanks for the advice. Yeah.
Yeah, bite the tongue, mate. Bite the tongue. Unfortunately, I'm not that patient, so I usually say to them something like, "I can't wait to go to your bar."
Well, you've got Andy Crusher Collins to get your back, so you know, you just have to send him out front, and I'm sure he'll get the job done.
The problem is, Eliot, we want people to come to the beer spot, not run away from it. So I'll be having words with him. He's gonna, geez, he's such a problem child. Hey, but I think there was an old brewery called McNeil's down in Queenstown way back in the day, and you had something to do with that at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, well, again, you know, I maybe I should go and you know, give my old man a big hug, actually, really, because you know, he's really got me started on my beer journey. But that was his watering hole down here, you know. His as a high schooler in Queenstown, we had a couple of breweries here, and McNeil's was the original, not the original from gold mining days, but I suppose the original from modern Queenstown, you might say. And yeah, right smack in the middle of town. And I mean, I didn't have anything to do with them other than just drinking a lot of their beer as a 16-year-old or something. Probably shouldn't be saying that, but you know, they're not there anymore. But then they got replaced by Ducks Deluxe, and everyone knows Ducks Deluxe. Again, it's a bit of a stalwart in the New Zealand beer scene, and they took a wee spot down there and brewed not all of their beers, but quite a lot of their beers out back. So I got to know some of the brewers and the owners there, and we just kind of carried on my career, I suppose, by helping them out the back. And like I say, Queenstown back then was just a real locals town. Everyone knew everyone, and everyone was drinking in McNeil's or the Ducks, and so it was good fun to be helping out the back and learn a bit about beer at the same time.
Nice. And look, we're actually really grateful that we managed to get some of your beers, Eliot, because I know you have a great sort of hyper local following through the South Island and stuff like that. And I know it's very difficult to get volumes of beer up to Auckland in terms of freight costs and things like that. So we're super grateful to have you as our Brew Buddy of the Month at Panmure, because it is hard for us to find South Island breweries as well and get their beers up, because the locals have taken to them, like a duck to water, and that's so good to see. So, but it does make it a little more challenging for us, further north to try and get these delicious beers of yours. So again, mate, I'm very grateful. But you started, and probably this must have been after your McNeil's days, swilling away underage. But you did a bit of an OE, and I think you ended up in Atlas Brewing in Scotland at some point, up in the Highlands there.
Yep, that's basically where I guess this was before, getting chronological here. That was post McNeil's Brewery, but before Ducks Deluxe. So we're in the middle. And so I did my OE over to Scotland, and I just went to climb mountains and have a good time, chase girls, and whatever you do at age 18. But it's ended up pouring beer for a living, or pouring beer to put a roof over my head and feed myself. But it was where I kind of had a beer epiphany in the sense of how's this product made, I guess. And so went most of our beer came from the local brewery, which was called Atlas Brewery, and I really don't know if it's still going or not. I should probably look those guys up, but that was in a wee town called Kinlochleven, about half an hour from the Clackag Inn where I was working. And same thing as when I came back at Ducks Deluxe. Really was just helping them out. I wasn't looking for a job. I just said, hey man, I work down at the bar, and I'm over from New Zealand for a year and love to come and see how you do things. So he just got me in, and we dug out mash tuns and just watched how he was doing things, and water blasted the floor, and all these kind of things that helped him out at the time, and just picked up what knowledge I could. But it's quite cool to have that experience and work in another country, and I suppose start my knowledge base there.
And so for Altitude Brewing, obviously started after you came back, and it's the whole sort of ethos of Altitude is really about enjoying that beer after a day's activity. Maybe climbing a mountain, maybe doing a mountain bike track, a hike through the hills or the mountains around the lake, whatever, and then really enjoying that first beer after that sort of activity. Am I sort of getting the right vibe there, Eliot, about what it's about?
Yeah, man, that's how I built my brand, because that's what I've grown up with in terms of what I like to do, and beer. The best stories, and you'll know this from drinking beer with your mates and stuff. Everyone, they drink beer for a reason, and usually it's a social occasion, and they're catching up with someone, and they've all got stories about things. And for me, the best beers I've ever had is generally you've gone and done something with with your mates, and you're out there talking about it and celebrating your mission, or talking about what went wrong and why you had to bail, or whatever it might be. So that's that's kind of the way we've built our brand, is celebrate Queenstown and celebrate the Southern Alps and celebrate, you know, adventure sports and all these good times that can be had. And what better way to do that over a beer, you know? And to tie that in together, you know, I wanted to try and support the people that brought me up as well. So right from the start, you know, we've had you know, the Mischievous Care was the first beer I ever made, and I was like, right, well, 5% of everything we gross out of that beer, I'm going to give back to the Kia Conservation Trust, and you know, they're going to support the Kias in our local environment, and different beers had different charities attached to them. And now we do what's called 1% for the Wakatipu, so we've actually pulled all 1% of our gross revenue, and we donate that every year to different charities, because I mean, quite frankly, it started getting a little bit unfair, because Kia was outselling everything by so much that one charity was getting everything. so yeah, we decided to pull that and yeah, just give back to the community in ways that usually again support what we like to do, and you know, whether it be the mountain bike club or you know, the climbing club, or just things that help Queenstowners in their community having fun, and we've seen great kickbacks from that too.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. You know, it's so important to support local causes. You know, we do very much the same thing. If anyone comes to us, we've always got something for them. You know, you've just got to do it. It's you know, you live and die on that sort of thing, I think. So congratulations to you for doing that. I bet there's a lot of very grateful people down in the area, mate. So you went to Victoria University, I think, Eliot, after your homeschooling thing. What was the transition like from sort of homeschooling and getting out in the world to doing university study?
I feel like that's actually
Carry on there, buddy.
And brutal. You know, so it was kind of quick.
Just we've got a bit of lag, Eliot.
Yeah, that was my
Just going to try and wait. Just going to wait for you to catch up, mate. It's got a bit of lag here. The blimmin' interwebs, we're having all sorts of trouble. I'll just keep talking, and hopefully Eliot can come back to us. So we're talking with Eliot Menzies of Altitude Brewing, which is down there in the lovely Queenstown area. You can find Altitude Brewing and their bar on Frankton Marina in Queenstown, which is on the shores of Lake Wakatipu. If you go there, you'll be able to watch Eliot and his team brewing some magnificent beers. You also get this incredible view of the Remarkables from Eliot's place. And it's well worth going to see there. So, oh, there he is. We're back.
Yeah.
There you are, buddy.
Yeah. Look.
The bloody interwebs, eh? We need some audio from you, Eliot.
Can you hear me on this one?
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
Crikey.
We're back in the
Moral of the
bag.
story is don't use Macs. Maybe.
Don't get me started on that sort of stuff, Elliot. So the question I was asking, mate, was was it a difficult transition to go to university from homeschooling and your OE and things?
Yeah, here I was just busily talking to the computer all by myself here for bloody 2 minutes answering that question, but you know, I'll do it again. No, it's coming from homeschool. I went to high school, so the university was a little bit down the track, and it was, mate. It was difficult. It was tough. It's you know, socially your mates with your mum and dad and your brothers to trying to figure out how to fit into a group of 15-year-olds, which are just, you know, love ripping the shit out of each other and being brutal. So it was a bit of a learning curve, but you know, it doesn't take too long, and I'm lucky that all those mates that I made in high school are still down here in Queenstown, or a lot of them are, and they're a big part of the community we've built here at the brewery too. You know, they're down here every Friday night having a beer with me, and you know, sharing the Altitude story with all the people they know.
Nice, mate. And so it was Victoria University. What did you end up studying there, Elliot?
Well, at the time I thought architecture was my future. Turns out that wasn't the case. You know, help me build a brewery, but I wouldn't change it, mate. You know, it's good fun being at school and you know, again, drinking beer and just learning the ways of the world as a young man. And but yeah, haven't done anything with my degree at all. But yeah, Wellington's a cool place to study. There wasn't any breweries there at the time. You know, when I was there, it was just I think you get Tuatara at Bar Bodega, and that was about it.
Nice, so that's not a bad drop. You know, of course they've sold to DB now, but you know, I take comfort knowing I can walk into a DB bar and have a great beer.
Oh, I don't begrudge any of that at all. You know, it's I still, you know, rate some of those Panhead beers as some of the better ones out there. And like I say, it's you can't knock a 6-pack of Tuatara from the supermarket. It's yeah, or walk into any bar in the country, and normally you'll find either a Tuatara or a Panhead or an Emerson's or something, and it's yeah, it's a good thing for our industry, totally.
Yeah, I just felt so proud of those guys when the deals came up, and I'm so glad they went for them. You know, what else are you working for? It's a pat on the back, and you know, it's great to see them and you know, alongside mainstream offerings in those bars that are so traditionally tied up.
Well, yeah, well, everyone's obviously going to have different opinions on that. I think you know, people they all get into the industry for potentially different reasons, and you know, that's a can of worms. But you know, I mean, from my perspective, I treat Richard Emerson as a bit of a mentor of mine. You know, he's always been quite tied up here in Queenstown, and so every time he comes into the brewery, and you know, we share a yarn and a beer, and he was one of the first people to ever try my beer, and was really supportive of the product that I had, and you know, what I should do to go forward. So, you know, people like that are really important, and I owe Richard a lot throughout the career of Altitude. So yeah, it's everyone's got their own reason.
Richard's a great man, mate. You know, I'll never hear a bad word spoken against him. He's always, as you say, been very, very supportive and very giving, you know, of his knowledge and his time to help brewers make better beer, you know. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Elliot. So, but hey, did you do some winemaking along your path as well at some point?
Yeah, well, that was you know, going through my life. I think alcohol's been with me since, as you say, I was 4. Really, I've just been, you know, foraying into some form of it. But yeah, when I moved back to Queenstown, it was kind of, well, what's here? You know, there's wineries, there's vineyards all over the place, and you're looking for something to do. So yeah, I got a job out at Peregrine Wines, and spent 3 years out there, and and learned a lot too. You know, it's it might be a different form of alcohol, but it's still you know, you still got to deal with the same principles and of a lot of things. And so it's again, it was a big part of my journey, I suppose, is learning from those guys. And you know, I owe where I am to a lot of different people in different parts of the world and different angles. Absolutely.
It's good of you to acknowledge that, mate. You know, in my experience around, you know, meeting brewers who have a vintner background is, as I find those brewers sort of get more nuance out of the ingredients, if you know what I mean. They sort of understand how to get, you know, different things out of the ingredients that you use to brew beer, you know. And sort of a more perhaps educated palate in some regards. But I find, you know, generally vintners make great brewers.
Yeah, well, obviously the most famous one out there is, you know, Vinny Saluzzo from Russian River, you know. But I mean, I think the angle there that I'd like to pick up on is kind of that you're always learning, you know, and there's so many new ingredients and so many new techniques and so many new school ways of thinking that are just constantly coming out that no one can really, you know, think they know it all, because, you know, every day in the brewery, I'm figuring out something that is going to make the beer better or make it different, or a new ingredient that might be working in a different way. And so, yeah, coming from a wine background, you do get to know, I think, certain things that you know, are involved with beer and yeast and stainless and barrel aged stuff, and it's it completes kind of, or it helps that learning process potentially come a little bit faster.
It's awesome, mate. Now, Eliot, do you have any? Do any of the team have some plans to pop up for a Meet the Brewer event or anything like that?
Yep. I think you're going to have the dubious pleasure of meeting my business partner Eddie. Looks a bit like me, beard and glasses. Looks a bit like you might say too. Looks a bit like pretty much most people in our industry, perhaps, you might say. But yeah, I think he's coming up, tomorrow night? I've got to go down to Invercargill for an event too, actually, so I would love to come up myself, but he's started to take the flight this time and go and do that.
Nice, we'll look forward to that, buddy. Because Eddie sort of came on the scene and took over a few things that you don't like doing, Eliot.
Yeah, well, I mean, geez, Jason, yeah, it's kind of the way to it's how everyone should, I suppose, operate a business. I think is you're only as strong as the sum of your parts, aren't you? Really? So, you know, and I can say that across the whole team we have here now. I mean, Eddie, yeah, came with me maybe 2 years after I started, something like that. So he's been with me for a long time. But you know, I'd like to elaborate with that with, you know, my brewing assistant Jesse, and you know, the tap room girls here, and you know, Peter, our general manager. He's you know, all these people have just picked up their roles and taken the business to the next level. And I think you know, getting a good team and looking after that team is really important to having a good product end result, and, you know, good experience for the customers that are coming in. And it allows me to focus more on what I like to do too, you know. So hopefully you'll get some of these, you know, new beers we've just produced. You know, we've got like a berry smoothie sour. You know, it's really heavily fruited to the point that's you know, a third of the beer is fruit. You're like, well, is this wine or is this beer? You know, it's lots of lactose, and, you know, there's always new hazies coming out, and you know, strawberry milkshake we've just done, and all these kind of cool stuff that's allows me to work on too.
It's one of the most challenging things, I think, for brewers generally, Eliot, to sort of have that core range, keep pumping that core range out, keeping it consistent, in good shape, and you know, that soaks up a lot of time and energy. So those sort of more creative brews must be a bit of a relief sometimes to sort of knock a few of those out.
Yeah, that's kind of your salve after trying to slave away over pilsners and IPAs for a wee while. But I don't mind that either. Really, it's for me, like I said to you before, it's constantly kind of trying to make the best beer you can, and whether it's the same beer you've been making for 8 years, you still want to, on a brew day, it's still a brew day, and you still want to make sure you treat that beer with all the love and respect as you do a brand new yeast or a brand new hop or something you're trying out for the first time. But yeah, I mean, you did right. That is the fun. And when you're playing with $2,000 worth of strawberry puree and chucking it into a beer, it's also scary. Yeah.
You just see the money tipping into the vat, mate.
That's it. Pete comes at me and he's like, well, we're out of Pilsner. We need more Pilsner. We need more of that. And I'm like, cool. Well, I just poured, as I say, $2,000 worth of strawberry puree into a hop, and it's going to make your kegs about $450 a keg or something. So I can get one back at him saying that.
Hey, look, Eliot, it's been a real pleasure catching up with you, buddy. And I want to say again, thanks so much to Altitude Brewing out of Queenstown there on the shores of Lake Wakatipu, overlooking the beautiful Remarkables. I can't wait to get down there and have a beer with you, mate, looking out over those gorgeous hills. And as I said, man, it's a real privilege for us because I know that you sell most of your beer locally through the south. So I really appreciate the effort made and getting the beers up here. So I hope we see you sometime soon, man, and all the best to you, Eliot.
It's our pleasure, and thank you very much as well. It's great talking, and hopefully you can have a good night with Eddie up there, and anytime anyone's welcome, make sure they introduce themselves, and we'll give them a bit of a tour through the brewery and show you what we do down here.
Nice. Thanks a lot, mate. You take care of yourself, Eliot, and say hello to the team for us, mate.
Sounds good, Jason. Same to you.